Imagine a planet, hundreds of light years away, not too different from Earth in size and residing in the habitable zone of its solar system, but with no life forms to call its own. What if we were to terraform that planet with plants and animals from our own planet? How would they adapt to their new setting, and what bizarre forms would their descendants take? Hi everyone, my name is Ryan, and this is Project Mustelon, my very first attempt at a speculative evolution seed world project, very much inspired by the seed world projects I've been seeing pop up on YouTube more and more recently. So for those who don't know, a seed world is an alien planet with no life on it that's been terraformed and seeded with plants and animals from Earth. In the case of Mustelon, the main stars of the show are 5 species of Mustelidae, aka the weasel family, from North America. I'm a lifelong animal nerd, and picking what animals to use for this project was a bit of a challenge. I ended up going with mustelids because A, wolverines are like one of my favorite animals, and B, I don't feel like mustelids as a group tend to get the spotlight very often. The species chosen for this project are the long-tailed weasel, striped skunk, American badger, North American river otter, and of course the wolverine. I chose these 5 because I feel like each of them are great representatives of the diversity of their family and the different niches they inhabit. But where there are predators, there must be prey, right? As a food source for the mustelids, Mustelon has also been populated with a few small prey species: the black-tailed prairie dog, the eastern gray squirrel, the deer mouse, and the green anole, the only reptile on the entire planet. In addition to these species, several genera and species of freshwater fish inhabit the rivers and lakes of Mustelon, including sockeye salmon, brown trout, and yellow perch. Various invertebrates were also chosen to help fill out the ecosystems and form the foundations of various food webs. Thousands of species of isopods, springtails, earthworms, mollusks, crustaceans, plankton, corals, insects, and arachnids were carefully selected to meet the needs of the freshly terraformed planet. And of course, you can't have a world without plants. Plants such as algae were among the very first organisms to be introduced to Mustelon, and it paved the way for its future residents by filling the atmosphere with oxygen and kickstarting the water cycle. I'm much more of an animal guy than a plant guy, though, so unfortunately plants are going to be getting more of a backseat than everything else. So, now the stage is set and the actors are ready to make their big debut. How will the story play out from here? Only time will tell. For the first 12 million or so years, the world of Mustelon looks like this: 3 main land masses connected to each other by thin strips of land, and 1 small island continent. The global climate is similar to Earth's in that there are regular changes in the seasons, and the equatorial regions stay warm all year round. There is ice at the northern pole of the planet, and just south of the ice is a region dominated by boreal forests, and south of that is temperate woodlands and open grasslands and scattered forests. The equator is mostly tropical grasslands with scattered woodlands. I've decided to call this first stage of Mustelon the Inceptocene, and it's during this time that the original settlers of the planet begin their long journey to global domination. For this first episode, I have 2 species in particular I want to discuss. I would have done more, but honestly I was just super eager and impatient to get this project going. The first species we'll be looking at is Pedistrixes longiceps, or as I like to call them, stinkhounds. Their color alone is a dead giveaway that these are descendants of the striped skunk, and one of the first large predators of the early Inceptocene. These skunk descendants have evolved longer legs over many generations in order to travel further distances in search of prey, and have much larger territories than their ancestors as a result. Socially, stinkhounds tend to behave a bit like Earth's red foxes or coyotes. Mated pairs will stay together to raise a litter of cubs to maturity, but will often split up once the cubs are old enough to strike out on their own. Although some pairs will stay together even after that, due to the advantages of having more than one adult stinkhound defending a territory and hunting for food. While their strong scent glands aren't really used for defense like their skunk ancestors, scent still plays an important role in the world of stinkhounds as a way of marking territory and conveying emotions to other individuals in their family unit. In addition to scent, their bright white tails also act as an important social signal, and stinkhounds will often raise their tails and the mane of hair along their backs straight up into the air as a show of aggression. Black and white is the most common coat color among stinkhounds, but they also come in other color morphs such as gray, red, and the much rarer leucistic morph. As I mentioned earlier, stinkhounds are one of the larger predators at this point in Mustelon's history, and big predators need big prey. Say hello to Cynomarmota grandis, or as I've nicknamed them, the prairie hog. As the name pretty heavily implies, these large grazing herbivores are descended from the black-tailed prairie dog. Like their ancestors, prairie hogs like to live in open grassland, although they've long since abandoned digging burrows. At this time of the early Incepticene, they are one of the biggest herbivores on the planet. Prairie hogs like to live in large family groups as a means of protection from predators. Herds typically consist of several females and their young, and a few adult males that fight amongst each other for dominance and the right to reproduce. Females tend to have 1 to 2 calves at a time, and triplets are fairly rare, but definitely not unheard of. Young males will usually leave the group upon reaching adulthood as a way to prevent inbreeding among the herd they were born into. Upon leaving the herd, young males will typically form bachelor groups consisting of their brothers and cousins, and will travel together to seek out herds of females to call their own. These young males will push each other around in an attempt to assert dominance and practice fighting over non-existent females. Although they like to fight, these bachelor groups still look out for one another, and any one of them will quickly sound the alarm when a predator is spotted to put his brothers and cousins on high alert. These two species are just the beginning of a long list of animals I've been designing and describing for this project. One of my long-term goals is to eventually turn Mustelon into an art book/bestiary. If you'd like to see this project turned into a printed book, consider supporting me on Patreon. Patrons will get early access to sketches, works in progress, exclusive polls, early access to videos before they come out on YouTube, and a whole lot of other stuff too. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been passionate about ecology and evolution since I was a kid, and getting to work on something like Mustelon is a dream come true. If you'd like to see more of it in the future, feel free to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Until next time, stay creative and stay curious.